Hi there, everyone. Lars and Scott here from Camille's Harem, not just a podcast for novice writers by novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers, because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends, and today we will crown the waifu of 2022. The definitive waifu, mind you.
And you have to take this with a grain of salt. It's entirely subjective on our part. It's not like we've polled anybody about this. This is how we feel about the matter, and based off of like the popularity we felt for different characters, that's kind of what we're basing this off of. But also, again, entirely subjective. These are the three waifus that I'm going to mention. They're my waifus. The three waifus Lars is going to mention, they're his waifus. We're not going to be lying about any of this. This is all coming straight from the gut.
Yeah, this is something that I think could be argued year after year after year. How do you choose the definitive waifu queen? Like, what are your parameters for choosing said waifu? Are you just going with your gut? Is this all based off of popularity? And one of the things, especially when you go off of popularity polls, is basically whatever anime just aired or is currently airing will be the dominant force. There are very few of like the winter and spring anime that still are a tutor force by the end of the year, let alone the incredible female characters that were in those anime.
Yeah, it's very easy to forget about characters when you're not actively participating in like that anime and the culture that's popped up around that anime. These waifus can change. Like, you think back to waifus you had 2-3 years ago and you're like, oh, they're great, but they're not as great as this one I'm currently watching because you've got more of a current connection with that one.
Yeah, though I will say this, one of my honorable mentions for waifu of the year this year, she has been a waifu of mine for like over a decade.
Oh, fun.
So we will also have some honorable mentions, but we are going to focus on our top 3 waifus of this year. And then once we have introduced them and we have said why they are one of our top 3 gals, we will then have a quick discussion about who we think of these waifus should be crowned queen of 2022.
Lars, what would your first be then?
So, my first for this year, and this is me dipping back into an earlier anime from this year, will be Marin Kitigawa from My Dress Up Darling. My reason for choosing her is because she has spunk. And this is something that, quite honestly, like, it's hard to actually have conversations with some people about spunky characters, especially spunky females within stories, because the term spunk has kind of fallen out of our vernacular. But if you look it up, it is a courageous and determined person. And when I think of Marin, like, that's who she is. She has no idea how to sew, but she still goes and she tries to sew her own dress. Why? Because she is that passionate about cosplay and the things that she loves. As an unapologetic nerd myself, I can't help but love that. That is something that is absolutely endearing to me, and Marin does everything that she does with 110%, never holding back, wearing her heart on her sleeve, and for a teenager, and a teenager in Japan, that is really, really hard to find. And that was something that I said earlier on this year that I think would really connect with a lot of Western audiences, is that Marin feels more like an American character than a Japanese character, and that turned out to be the thing. There were so many people who were falling in love with her when the anime was airing, and ever since it's ended, and I've been reading the manga, she just continues to be pinnacle tier waifu, because she is spunk incarnate.
I would definitely have to agree. In fact, Kitigawa Marin is also one of my waifus for the year. She very much has aspects of her personality, of her character, I want to find more in myself. I would find myself hanging around a person like Marin more because, like, I want to be more like them. I want to be more confident. I want to have that spunk in my life. Even just wanting to emulate that character, I felt like I wanted to draw close to that character, and that's part of the reason why Marin is one of my waifus for this year. I felt like she was just so fun to read. She was such a fun character to, like, see her emotions play through, how she reacted to things. It made it really fun to watch just because of that, in my opinion. The thing with Kitigawa Marin, and it's showing up more in manga, but it hasn't shown up as much in anime quite yet, is her character design. A lot of it is based around the gyaru, like, subculture that's popping up in Japan. It's very much that same kind of, I can do what I want even if I am a teenager. this is my life. I'm going to dress how I like. Nobody's going to tell me how to do this. And so it's very much that freedom that's brought forth from that. Marin just elevates that kind of viewpoint. She really steps forward. She's unapologetic, and she just steps fully into what she likes and what she wants to do with her life, and nothing's going to stop her.
Yeah, and I definitely have more that I would like to add about Marin, but I think I'll save that for when we have our rumble for top waifu.
Okay. Fair.
So, yeah. So I'm going to introduce my second waifu, and I will already admit that this is an absolutely degenerate choice. This is a quirk of Lars right here, that I find myself absolutely attracted to taller women who are also buff enough to fold me in half. So for that, I have to go with Vermeil from Vermeil in Gold.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I mean, like, we were talking about this earlier, that many times a waifu is a character who you would actually really want to spend time with. Not because they're hot or, yes, but because they have qualities that you would actually find endearing and enjoyable, and that you would just want to explore what it would be like to have a relationship with that particular character. Vermeil is a very... She is a demon. She is a demon who likes to have fun. And not just simply in the sexy, fun times kind of way, but she is someone who likes to tease. She is someone who encourages other people to get out of their comfort zones. And for someone like me, who is a bit of a thrill junkie on the side, socially, like, going against the norms and whatnot is a thrill. And having someone there to help encourage me to do more of that would be awesome. So it's not just simply because she is a hot demon mama, but because she is someone who would encourage me to seek out more thrills, to put myself out there and engage more often with other people. And so, in all honesty, Vermeil is someone who might actually encourage me to become a better person just by being around her.
Aw, that's cute.
Yeah. And also at the same time, I mean, how many videos did I do this year for Vermeil in Gold? So I guess I should continue on with that.
Yeah. My second one's also on one we've done a video on recently, and it's Ushio from Summertime Render, which I find myself liking her very much for the same reason that I like Kitigawa Marin, is because she's very much herself. She's very, like, unapologetic. She's very confident. She also has that, like, energetic spunk that, like, I wish I had more of in my life. And
she is absolutely She is absolutely
spunky. And I have to admit, part of the reason I like her so much is when I lived in Japan, when I was learning Japanese, it was in the Kansai area. And I moved around a bunch of different places while I was there, but I lived in the Wakayama prefecture, not far from, like, where the events of this anime take place. And beautiful, beautiful area. Just the accent is so different than what you learn in, like, standard Japanese. And, like, to hear her speaking it just so confidently, like, the voice actor made it for me. Wonderful voice acting. Well, for everybody in that anime, but Ushio especially was fantastic. And I just found myself getting more and more in love with the character. And I love all the other characters. The sister, she's great. But Ushio still has to be number one best girl. And, like, that's how she got my waifu spot for that one.
Yeah, absolutely, and I agree with you. I love Mio. My heart goes out to Mio. I would have loved to have seen a different ending, especially for Mio, because, oh my gosh, I love her. But Ushio, best girl of Summertime Rendering. And I cannot argue against choosing her as one of the top 3 waifu of 2022, because, wow, she's incredible.
Yeah, and not every anime can do the whole thing that Clannad did a long while back, where they had, like, a little split-off episode where it's this alternate reality where the main character gets with this other girl. But I liked how it ended. I liked where it went with Summertime Render, and I like that it took the time at the end to answer all those questions that you had. I don't want to spoil it too much, but, like, it really did take the time to answer your questions.
Well, I would even say it didn't even answer a lot of the questions, but rather it gave you something that was like a new, beautiful beginning. It was the ending, but it was a new beginning, and honestly, I know this is taking us a little bit away from the whole waifu conversation, but being able to do that with a story, it's so flippin' hard. And the fact that Summertime Rendering managed to pull off an ending that also becomes a new beginning that you feel satisfied with, holy cow, I wish I was that good.
Yep, exactly. That's why it won all sorts of awards. All right, shall we move on to the last one? Because I know you and I both agree on this one.
Yes, we agree. Let's explain why. You're from Spy Family. I love your Briar. Again, it is because she could take me and fold me in half, and I find that incredibly hot. I love her introduction in the series. It's so funny. But what I really enjoy about Yor is that she has so much going on with her character. It's very, very easy to boil Yor down to a character who is just like a bundle of quirks wrapped up in the facade of an assassin. But when you watch Spy Family or when you read the manga, Yor is constantly doing something that just shows you another aspect of her character, like how much she loves Anya, and she displays that in so many ways. She is such a good mother to this little girl, and she also shows incredible wisdom, which is interesting because she's a bit of a dunce, and if we were to put it into D&D terms, she is high wisdom, low intelligence, which usually you don't see. People like to play high intelligence, low wisdom because it's like, hey, book smarts, throw out to the street, all of the fun you can have. A high wisdom character with low intelligence usually yields very empathetic, funny characters because they realize that they don't understand something and they try to understand it, usually in a very positive way. But Yor is someone who is so engrossed in the world of being an assassin. I love how she puts everything into like assassination terms. And it's not because she's a horrible person, it's just what she knows. And so it just helps to make her more endearing because there's something about that that's very, very relatable. How often do we do that? We take something we don't understand, we try to put into terms that we understand it in, which is a part of our lived experience. So Yor is a very relatable character. She's incredibly loving. She is a total badass assassin. And just watching her, especially like with the second core of the first season, it's just so much fun. She draws your eyes to the screen. You can't look away from the Thorn Princess.
A major part of that I really enjoy about Yor is that she has the things she's really good at. She's really good at the assassination stuff. Like you said, she's a bit of a dunce on other things, and it's super relatable. I may be really good when it comes to understanding stuff I've studied, stuff I've worked on for years, and still not be very good at other things when I'm thrown into different situations. And it's very relatable seeing a character that is like that. It's really cool of the author to put a character that's just not automatically a Mary Sue, that a character that has like their upsides and downsides, seeing Yor's reaction to that, like her honest reactions to all of that, just lets you see more of that character and you get to see more of who she is as a person. It's completely endearing. Fully end up picking her as a waifu because of that. Not just because she's hot. She is definitely hot too, but she's super endearing in such a unique way. Like I can't even think of any other characters that are like that.
No, absolutely. And like it's funny because like her coworkers, for instance, all have this negative opinion of her, which when you see how quirky she is, it's understandable why she would rub people the wrong way. But like when you get to know Yor, for at least as much as we get to know Yor in the anime, it turns from annoying to endearing really, really quickly. And if you find Yor annoying, that's probably because you're not interested in a long-term relationship with this waifu. Just gonna say.
Just slap down the truth right there. You're not good enough for Yor.
This is a throwdown for the Queen Waifu of 2022.
True.
I'm not pulling any punches on opinions right here. Or straight facts.
That is very true.
Right, so before we then have our discussion of who we think amongst these, actually 4, because we ended up having 2 waifus in common, 4 top-tier waifus, we might as well give at least some shout-outs and some love to some of the other amazing women from this year of anime. Yeah. And one of my very first ones is Rukia Kuchiki from Bleach. She has actually been one of my favorite female characters. Oh yeah, this is going old school. But I love Rukia. She is an absolutely fantastic character. She's another character who I would say is spunk incarnate, though way more uptight than Kitigawa is. And that's because of also the role that Rukia plays within Bleach. She's so much fun. And I also love the positive influence that she has on so many of the characters. It's one of the reasons why I shipped her and Ichigo. I'd still ship her and Ichigo, despite the fact that I know that they don't get together.
Aww.
Spoiler alert for all of the anime-onlys out there. Actually, who knows? Who knows? Because the manga crashed and burned in the last 5 chapters. I want to see the anime studio, really somehow rectify that garbage ending. And that could lead to a completely different ending than what we got in the manga. I have no idea what's going to happen ultimately, but I know how the manga ends.
One that I would have to mention, and mostly because it's my option for honorable mention, but it's mostly because I read more manga than I watch anime personally, and it has to be Kaoruko from Kaoruhana wa Rin Tosaku, which we just recently did a video on, just because she's so precious, that's why.
Yes, she is.
Like, that's all I can say about it. And I know Lars is already gathering all of these, like, little remarks that whenever I say precious to make some sort of Gollum video out of. But, like, it's so true. And she's just so precious.
Oh, she absolutely is. When Karuhana becomes an anime,
yes.
Oh my gosh, that's going to take the world of shoujo by storm. Yeah, here's a waifu that might sound a little bit controversial, I don't know, we'll see, but Sumi from Rent-A-Girl.
Okay, I can see that.
My reason for that is because, like, again, thinking back to, like, people who you'd actually want to spend time with, Sumi is a character who I would actually want to spend time with because I want to get to know her. The other girls in Rent-A-Girlfriend are either trashed or too obsessed with Kazuma or Kazuya, whatever his bucket is, who cares? Bland protagonist. But Sumi is a character who I feel has a lot of potential to her. That might not make her really ultimately a top tier waifu, and that's the thing, is that untapped potential does not a great waifu make. But there's so much to her that's cute and that's honest that I'm like, that is a girl that I would spend time with. And that's why she's an honorable mention waifu for me.
Okay.
Unless you got any others, I got 2 more.
One I would mention, and love the manga for it. I haven't seen much of the anime yet, which I really need to. But Komi Shoko from Komi Can't Communicate. She's a really fun character. She has her own issues, like, namely that, like, inability to communicate well. But, like, she's also really expressive in a really fun way because of that. And so I think she makes a really good waifu for this year as well.
Oh man, the animation for her in the anime is just top tier. My nieces love Komi. They love the way that she acts and everything, and like the 2 girls, they have a little Komi inside joke between them, and that they'll actually like act it out and everything. So definitely Komi's top tier. I feel really bad for this waifu because I'm putting her second to your again, Agent Midnight. Or Fiona.
Okay.
I, again, attracted to women who can bend me over backwards. Snap me in half. And honestly, she is just so much flippin' fun. I was laughing so hard while I was watching her episodes. I laugh when I read her chapters in the manga. She is such an earnest girl. And honestly, I want the absolute best for her. But the unfortunate thing is she's not going to get the absolute best because the best girl in that series by far, by leagues, is Yor.
Yeah.
And then my last honorable mention, just because teenage Lars would be all over this, Power from Chainsaw. Yes, she is a horrible person.
All of the waifus in Chainsaw Man scare me, okay? Even freaking Kobeni for some reason. Like, they all scare me. I'm not gonna touch that one with a 10-foot pole.
That's the thing, is that teenage Lars would find that absolutely exhilarating. And the thing is that, again, you know what you're getting with Power. She's very upfront and honest. Even when she's lying, she's basically telegraphing what she's about to do to you.
Right.
And so there's something about her that's just so earnest, that's so honest in a weird roundabout way. And definitely I'd say that she's a heartthrob for a lot of teenagers who are willing to trapeze the borders of absolute danger.
Yeah.
That's what teenage Lars would have done, and teenage Lars is a fool, but I will acknowledge teenage self.
I love that. Hey, As long as you're being honest with yourself.
Yeah, I gotta be honest with myself.
Oh no, okay.
So those are our honorable mentions. Again, there have been plenty of amazing women this year in 2022, and we would love to hear who you think would be a great waifu or even a great husbando.
Yeah.
Down in the comments below, tell us who it is, what your criteria is for like a good waifu or a good husbando, why you chose who you chose. Honestly, we would love to see it. But we have 4 contestants for waifu of the year. Let's talk this out.
Yeah.
As much as I love Vermeil, I will admit that is a bit of a fetish waifu for me, so I am going to put her on over here, not like putting baby in the corner, but I'm just going to put Vermeil on over here, pat her horned head, and just say, you and I are going to talk later, but sorry. Because she can't compete to Marin or Yor. I'm sorry. That's just the reality.
And I almost want to do the same with Ushio. Like, I'd hate to do that to her, but I felt like Ushio was so great because she was in such a great anime in the first place. And I'm not saying that, like, Spy Family and My Dress Up Darling weren't great anime, like, all together. But, like, Summertime Render was such an ensemble, like, all put together, and Ushio being just, like, best girl out of that. I feel like it's almost too much of an unfair advantage for the other two.
If we were to go by quality of anime,
yeah,
almost everyone has to fight against Summertime Rendering because it is such top tier anime.
I also have to go by my gut about what I'm attracted to the most. I find that, like, Kitigawa Marin and Yor Briar, I'm more attracted to them by far than I am Ushio, even though Ushio's in a freaking swimsuit almost the entire anime.
And has a pretty hot nude scene, let's be honest here. There's a part that gets pretty explicit, and it is awesome. And not in a raunchy way, actually. But like in a really like, oh, this is amazing kind of a way.
Yep. You'd have to watch it to understand. I'm sorry. Anyway, so it inevitably is going to come down to who's better out of Kitigawa Marin or Yor Briar. Oh, it's such a hard decision for me.
This is an absolutely hard one. Because, again, what I'm attracted to would be Yor. But at the same time, I just look at Marin and she is an absolutely fun character. She steals the scenes. I'm going to say this as kind of like a little bit of a commentary on like the people who enjoy My Dress Up Darling and like the story as a whole. Gojo is a fun protagonist. I really, really like him, and he's such a good, I would say that he's like the quintessential high school protagonist that you'd want to have in a story where you're not dealing with supernatural stuff. If we're talking real-world characters, I would choose Gojo almost over any other anime protagonist, male protagonist, in a real-world setting, because he's so good. But the thing is that, like, you compare him up to Marin, and Marin just, like, outshines him with just so much power and personality. Every scene she's in, she's doing something unique, funny, and different. You're getting to learn something new about her. It's interesting because, keeping up with the manga, there's a lot of people who just see her as just a nice slab of meat. I want Gojo to tap that and then let's move on to the next chapter. That's what they want. I'm just like, you fools don't understand what we're getting right here. If you see her as a slab of meat, that says a whole lot more about you than it says about this Garu character.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what makes her so attractive, is that she's not being served up as a nice slab of marbled meat for the audience. She is a very spunky, out there female character who demands your attention, not because she's a brat, because her personality and her character arc deserve it.
I feel like that Marin and Gojo work really well together because it's that they contrast each other enough that you can see them reacting to each other in real time to like how they handle different situations. It very much comes back to like the Japanese concept of manzai, which is like duo comedy. Somebody's going to be the straight guy, somebody's going to react to it, and it goes both ways on that one. It's really fun. Like, it really makes it a fun comedy in that regard, but like you also get to see them falling in love as they go along.
Yeah, her definitely more so than he's very slow. He's developing the feelings, she's already there. The moment he says yes, it's on.
It's on. Oh, it's no. On. I just got done reading one chapter where, like, they're in the same bedroom and she's all gearing up for sex and He has no idea what's going on. He's too busy focused on like a video game or something.
Well,
And
and he's
like
trying to
she's
focus on
just
it because
psyching herself out.
and the thing is that he is trying to not gun himself up for that because he does like her, but he doesn't realize that she likes him. He's dense that way. And also he's scared. He is scared of misreading the situation because of how he has misread other situations before,
Yeah.
much to his public embarrassment. So it's such a great chapter. It's so frustrating, but it's so good.
And then, like, on the other side, we've got Yor, who, like, she's also very much herself, but she also has to hide parts of herself because assassin's not necessarily that socially acceptable. But the thing with Yor is, it's not like I have to pretend to, like, age up the character to be romantically interested in them. Yor's already, like, an acceptable age. It's not like I'm lusting after a high schooler here.
Yeah, it doesn't feel quite as weird. Coming down to the fact that she is older, and this is not just coming from an older anime fan, but like, again, if you think relationship right here, it's what you want with a waifu. She is someone who, like, is a good mother. And yes, again, that's subjective. How do you say that someone is a good mother? And it's clear that she can't cook. Her cooking is awful. I would have to cook in this relationship. She is dedicated to Lloyd and to Anya. She puts their happiness first. And that's something that I look forward to seeing develop more. It's how her own happiness has to factor more into the equation. She slowly but surely is learning that as well. So you can see a true character arc for her while she is being a good mother in a very interesting situation right there. And that is something that is just, you could actually like have college lectures on that level of intensity and psychology for just this one aspect of a character. That just goes to show that Yor is a very in-depth person. And especially having read ahead in the manga, there are things that anime onlys are not prepared for when it comes to Yor. How much she is dedicated to who she is as a person, how much she's dedicated to the family, and how much she still has to yet learn in order to really, like, eventually become that perfect mother and wife. Because that's the end game right there. I will be absolutely shocked if we don't end up right there. Even though there's a lot of very dark turns in Spy Family, there's some really dark stuff later on. Whew! It's just this family coming together and being together is just, it's so precious, and you don't have that without Yor. She absolutely completes the family. So
this is a hard decision.
It is. And in all honesty, what you said, Scott, about just kind of like the whole age thing, me personally, that's kind of what nudges me a little bit more towards Yor, because at least as an older fan, it doesn't feel quite as weird. Of course, again, my whole thing that she could break me in half. I think another thing that kind of seals it for me, as far as like great waifu material, is the fact that as opposed to Marin, Yor has already had multiple conversations within her own anime about her relationship with Lloyd. And that is big. That is big. You cannot have a good relationship without conversations that bring both parties to the table to have an understanding of where they are. And granted, both of them are lying to each other. Both Lloyd and Yor are lying to each other. But within that lie, they are finding common ground and actually developing a healthy family relationship. And that is incredibly attractive.
Yeah, I have to admit, all of that's great, but I'm still gonna go with Marin. Mostly because what I personally would find most attractive in a partner is somebody who shares the same interests, somebody I can talk to for hours on end, on anime, on books, on like any of that kind of stuff. And Marin's a character I could see myself doing that with for just hours on end. It would be fun to hang out with Marin. That's mostly why I'm gonna pick Marin.
All right. Oh, right there, folks. Can agree to disagree.
Yep, exactly.
I go with Yor, he goes with Marin.
Yep.
So please massacre each other politely in the comments. Below,
yes,
you guys
please.
are arguing about who is the best waifu of 2022. I'm going to take my crown and I'm going to give it on over to Yor because she is the Thorn Princess and my queen of 2022.
Right.
I would give the crown to, I'll be honest, I will give the crown to Rukia. She has been a queen to me for over a decade. In terms of 2022 content, this has been Yor's year to shine for me.
which is absolutely fair. And let us know any like non-anime examples of stuff that's come out this year. Any like husbandos as well. Characters you found yourself being drawn to this year. We want to hear about all of that in the comments.
Yeah, and there's no shame in it. There honestly isn't. There is an attitude of shaming people for really liking fictional characters. The fact of the matter is that we find ourselves drawn to fictional characters because those fictional characters provide us with a glimpse into the kinds of people that we do want to find ourselves with. And interacting with people can be great and all, but it can get messy. It can get a little bit weird. You don't know what you're going to get. And so, like, weirdly enough, I know most people focus on, well, it's a pseudo relationship that you're having with a fictional character. I look at it more as, like, I find it fun when I see people in real life, and I get to know people in real life who actually have qualities of fictional characters that I value. And so many of my best friends are people who it's like, you exemplify this aspect of a fictional character who I really enjoy. I don't like you because you're like this fictional character. I like you for who you are. But like, it's a beautiful little connection. It's weird, but it works. It works for people. It's not something that you should be like, oh, it's weird. Oh no, I'm going to hide myself. Yeah, just spitting out straight facts right here.
Yeah, no, you are. You really are. Thank you for listening to us.
But wait, before we go, because we do have to our master and overlord, Camille. Camille's harem is about novice writing for novice author. What on earth can we learn from talking about waifus, of all things? It's like talking about shipping. How the heck is this supposed to help us out with writing? This is what I would take away from looking at who you really look to, like, or who you really admire within fiction. There'd be a waifu or husbando. Pay attention to how great quality waifus are presented within a story. Are they just simply characters who show up for various scenes and are really cool and look cute or beautiful or act a certain way, but then when they're not the focus of attention, they're just kind of hanging around in the background? Like, this is definitely a grievous sin of harem anime. Right. But it happens within a ton of different shows where you're introduced to a very dynamic character. That character's only dynamic in the scenes that are meant for them. And I've seen this way too often in novice writing where you are like, I have got this character that I love so much, so I'm going to write a chapter to show everyone why I love this character so much. You write that chapter, it's a ton of fun, and then that character gets sidelined until it's time for another chapter for them to shine in. A lot of work to figure out how you can take a quality character and integrate them throughout the story without them stealing every scene that they're in. And so what I would just say is this, is that within a story, a great waifu is a character who is multifaceted, like Marin or Yor, where there's multiple things that you can see and appreciate about different aspects of their personality, their knowledge, their relationships, etc. And the scenes that they're in, you get to see one of those aspects. It's never focused on just one. You get to see one of many different aspects of what makes their character so great. And then when they have a scene to shine in, you get to see a lot of that. So it's a balancing act. A great waifu, to create and maintain a great waifu, is a balancing act of personality throughout the entire story.
I don't think I've got anything to add to that. That was beautiful.
Oh, thank you. I try. I'll be honest. This is something that I have struggled with a whole lot, especially because some of my favorite characters that I have written were like characters that I discovered along the way. It doesn't help that like two of them are basically waifu characters. And so it's been something that I have struggled with, something I've worked really hard at to make sure that those two characters don't just become little trophy shelf characters who I take down when it's time to give them something to do. How can I incorporate them throughout the story that makes them feel alive and like they actually matter? That's been very difficult. And looking at good stories like My Dress Up Darling or Spy Family have helped me to learn a little bit more about how to do this. And it's something that I'm still working on incorporating into my own stories.
Very well put.
All right. Yeah, so we've gone on plenty long right here. We have our queens of 2022. Will they fight? Maybe. We're not going to be the ones who'll make them fight, though, because we love them too much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we don't want to go back to the waifu wars. Thank you very much. We don't want to go back there.
We'll do this again next year.
Okay.
Maybe. Once again, with civility. Civility.
With civility.
It's like jousting, yeah. Yeah, we'll call this like a waifu jousting. We have a code of honor, people.
I love that.
All right, so that'll do it then for this video. Again, we would love to hear about your top waifus and husbandos down in the comment section below. Tell us what your criteria is for a great character, and tell us what you think of our choices. We'd love to know how many people agree with us in this regard. But otherwise, if you are a novice author looking for more quality writing advice, and not just the stuff that's at the end of a video, please check out our other videos here on our YouTube channel. You can especially head on over to our podcast, Camille's Harem, found on Podbean, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, the works. We have writing exercises for you to check out over at our Pinterest page. And if you want to support us, of course, please comment, leave a like, subscribe if you haven't done so, but especially check out our published works in the description. You will find links to some of our books, and if you buy those and read them and give them a review, we would be over the moon. But otherwise, thank you so much for joining us on this adventure that we call writing. And until the next video, y'all, choose.
Here I come. Close your eyes for me, darling.
Okay then.
Nope, sorry, can't stop, won't stop, must smile. How can I not? I'm so happy I could just die.